Karnes Podcast with our host, Mitchell S. Karnes. Mitchell, how are you? The holidays, and now you're back and ready to roll and talk about the latest news, and we're only 5 days away to the book launch, and it's exciting. So tell us how you feel right now.
I've got it in my hands, so I'm fantastic about that. It looks great. And so it actually releases on the 16th, which is next Wednesday. And then we have the following, not the 19th, but the 26th, to have a signing in Johnson City. And then we go to Franklin, Tennessee for another signing, and then the Killer Nashville Conference, and go to Knoxville area for a Rarity Bay Women's Club book signing, an event where I get to speak there as well. So everything's rolling. It seems like it took forever to get here, and now it's going to be
a frenzy upon frenzy, and that's the big thing. Let's talk also about the audiobook giveaway. We still have time, and you might even extend it, but we're saying the deadline is July 16th, but you're really excited about the feedback of people who wanted a free copy of the audiobook to register to win.
Yeah, I was really pleased with the turnout for that and the responses to that. Some of these people have already read it. They just want to hear it now, which is exciting. And some of those people are new to the whole process. So hopefully they'll get hooked on Abby's story and keep going through this book 2, which is the least of these. And I'm already cooking on book 4. So
yeah, and that's the thing. And then people that want to have an audiobook for book 2, you got to buy audiobook 1 so they see that there's a demand so that you get book 2.
There is going to be an audiobook for book 2. I've already heard.
Awesome.
So
definitely things are looking really well. So you talked about the events, you talked about the specific things. Let's talk about, as an author, what are you going to do the day of the launch? How do you feel once that launch happens?
Ooh, a mix of feelings. I feel like I've birthed a child. I'm excited about it, but you do get a little nervous about the feedback and response to it because it's a personal thing when you put out there. But with this one being a book 2, and books 2, 3, and 4 are back to back as far as timeline goes. So they are a continuing story. The next book after that will be at arc, but it's not the same the next day kind of thing. So I'm excited about it. I'm nervous about it. Also hoping that people get tied into Abby and want to hear her story and get involved with her.
100%. And that's the big thing. Then we just keep cranking in so many ways. And that's what you do, right? Is keep going, keep it going, and you never know what's going to happen next in the process, it sounds like.
My publisher keeps telling me to have patience, because when I got the royalty letters with how many sales, I was anticipating it being more than that. And he says, you're building an audience base. So be patient. It's a step at a time. You're doing great. I was way above the projection that he had for me. I guess I'm still at that. Oh, everybody who needs to read it. So we're getting there. Things like this with our podcast and your help, it's growing. There's things that I couldn't do. So
and it's growing, and you have the brand, and that's where the audiobook comes in. People are listening to audiobooks. So tell people why they need to act now if they want to get that free copy.
There's only so many copies of it. The publisher gave us so many free listings and codes for that. And you want to hear it in Abby's voice. Me reading it, I'm reading it through my masculine side, even though I'm writing it as a female. It's her voice primarily in book 1. And book 2, it's all her first person. Everything's from her. So getting her voice in your head as you read this and getting a feel for who she is with her sarcasm and the emotion, the lady that did it is fantastic. And so I couldn't have picked a better person for it.
All right. I guess let's talk about book 2 again. For people that are ready to buy it, give us the whole summary of what should we expect in book 2.
Well, book 2 it's a combination of murders. And so you have murders on two sides of the rivers. One is a homeless camp, and the other one is a rich man's son. And so he's part of Nashville's development of the East Bank project, which is currently going on in Nashville. And you see how the government responds to that. Mayor pulls out all the stops for the wealthy man's son and puts the homeless situation on the back burner. So my point is that every life has value. And my opening line, which he ended up putting on the back, is death doesn't keep a schedule. And so she starts off with that, an early morning crime scene, and she's being pulled in both directions. And Abbey wants to help out with the homeless situation, but she's under orders to focus on the wealthy man's son.
And I think that this is where you want to really have that emphasis on the homeless, especially what you're seeing in Nashville and how people should not ignore it.
Which is why I titled it The Least of These. And that goes back to the biblical phrase, even though the least of these, you've done it unto me, Jesus said. I want people to focus on them, not to enable it, but to help them out of it.
In what ways do you think the church is not doing a great job with that?
I think we do a lot of handouts, kind of like what welfare was supposed to be at the beginning, is a hand up, not a hand out. But even the churches, because it's easy to be involved when you're giving something and then you walk away. Being invested in them and watching them and helping them through the process, helping them get job skills, helping them move on, that's the important part. And so in my acknowledgement page, I wanted to thank people like Room in the Inn, Nashville Rescue Mission, Salvation Army, and others who work with Nashville's homeless population, because they're all giving them skills to move out of that situation.
And you think that you have to be proactive. Explain why you see proactiveness as such an important part of this. Or proactive that you need to help them get out of their situation, not just give them a handout and nothing happens.
Yeah, and I think you used the right word, proactive versus reactive. Reacting to their situation is just putting the Band-Aid on. It's not fixing the wound. And so what we need to do is to help them figure out what got them in that situation. Some do it by choice. They just don't want the entanglements. They don't want the responsibilities. And so they're living off of other people, that kind of entitlement section. But you have a large number of the homeless who are there by situation, who lost home, lost a job, lost a family, and some who are mentally ill. And I have one character in here that is that mentally ill. And so without his medicine, without treatment and counseling, he's going to be in that cycle forever.
Wow. And that cycle is a process, and how you work through that cycle to make it happen, to get out of that situation. What do you see from your study as a pastor, how people deal with this homelessness, this crisis in certain aspects? Explain that to me. Who are the ones that end up homeless? What are you seeing in this, with this real epidemic that's happening? Especially you talk about now.
Our church helped with Room in the Inn. And so what our church did was we housed on a Wednesday night. We brought them in where we had a Wednesday night supper already. So we fed them. We let them stay in the church. We had a shower. And so they got a shower. We combined with Graceworks, which was a local one in Williamson County. And so we got them clothing. We washed their clothes. We did everything else and sent them back with bus passes so they could get to jobs, a meal, hot meal, and a sandwich meal. And we also gave them an opportunity to respond to the gospel, which I think is a key to that as well. And so it's not just meeting their physical needs, but it's meeting their spiritual and emotional needs as well.
And those needs are very important in the process. And what background of people are you seeing that are ending up homeless, in your opinion? Is it lost job, or are you seeing a mix?
Everything from, I saw a person with a master's of education and just got overextended in his finances. It got called on him and he got stuck in that situation. And he says, without a residence, what do you put on your resume? How do they contact you? And it's just this cycle that he got stuck in because he didn't have any way for them to contact him to get to the job and to get that. He says, I can do the job if I can get one, but people aren't willing to take a chance on you if you don't have a resident. And so that's where these ministries help, because they let you use that address for your residents, and then you have something where they can contact you. Sometimes they get them like a burner phone where they can actually receive the calls for the job.
I would never have known that you're saying a lot of educated people ended up homeless because just wrong place, wrong time, different things like that.
And sometimes it's abuse of substance, addictions to those things. Sometimes it's mental illness and getting off your medicine. But I've seen everything from generational homeless to people that were in professional jobs that either got addicted and got stuck in that cycle, or they overextended themselves financially and got stuck in that.
Wow. And the only way we're going to fix this is to give them the resources available to get them back on their feet.
Yes. And teach them how to do that on a regular basis. Because we come in and we give them food. It's like that old parable or old adage, give a man a fish, he eats for the day, teach him to fish, and he eats for all day. And so that's what we're trying to do, is teach people to fish.
All right. The best place to go is mitchellscarnesauthor.com. Appreciate it, Mitchell. Thanks again, sir. And I enjoyed this conversation, and I look forward to celebrating next Friday, the book launch, and we'll talk then.
All right.
All right. You're listening and watching the special simulcast, The Neil Haley Show, and the Mitchell S. Karnes Podcast, guys. Take care.